We're about to kick down the doors and go inside of the C-suite of Bennitta Senyatsi. She's the National Sales and Fleet Manager for Nissan. Very, very inspiring woman. Going in. National Manager of After Sales. You have to break down. What does this mean?
Well, okay, so I'm the National After Sales Fleet Manager. So all customers that are dealing with Nissan from a fleet side, I call on them, be it corporate fleets, be it rental companies, government departments, municipalities and the like. So everybody that's got any fleet activities from an after sales side, I call on them and we support them. Nationally. And our neighboring countries, Namibia, Botswana, Swaziland.
So you're busy?
I think I manage just fine.
Now, for a young woman growing up in Polokwane who, had dreams of, a number of things.
Yes.
Did you imagine yourself being in this position and holding this type of portfolio of power?
Honestly speaking, not. My mother's a teacher, so you can understand how I'd gravitated to being a teacher. But that changed with the years. And I think it was only in matric when I was exposed to the field of engineering from this university. And from there, subsequently, having been awarded a bursary from one of the companies, then I went and I studied engineering.
Oh, wow.
But it wasn't anything I thought of. I was so jealous of my friends that are doing BA and were sitting on the grasses and I had these drawing boards. So I really had to want to do it.
Sure.
And I pursued it and I'm still studying, so yeah.
Get into this space where you are now with literally this huge amount of responsibility in sort of a male-dominated area. What are some of the couple of the things that you learned growing up to help position you? Some of the key things. You said your mom was a teacher. What were some of those subtle things you learned? So
I've got brothers, so that I think probably geared me up from the onset. And when I started learning about engineering, I found that it is pretty much male-dominated once you get into industry, unlike at school. And one needs to really have a thick skin, as I always say to people, because you need to prove yourself twice as much as your male counterparts. Irrespective of the fact that maybe at school you might have been a top student, or you could have been the same as them, industry doesn't accommodate for that. I think more so just because culturally, a woman is perceived to be of a lesser power or within the community rather than in the workplace. So people tend to filter that through in their workplaces, and that creates a challenge.
What was one of the first big challenges when you woke up and realized this is a man's world while I walked into it and I'm a woman?
I was working in the trucking industry. So you can understand being black, female in trucks and being young. I was never taken serious. Customers would tell me, look, I've been in this industry long before you were born and so on. So the fact that you come with academic backing didn't work to my advantage.
Come in here with this fancy degree.
So what I did, I approached my manager. It wasn't a work requirement. I said to him, you know what, I want to get a trucking license. And I went, I was still staying in the Cape region. I went and I got a trucking license so I can drive a truck.
Oh, really?
Yes. So from then on, when I went to customers and I would explain, look, you need to manage your driving, how you change gears and so on. And they didn't take me serious and I would jump in. So I've had a couple of runners in my stockings getting into the truck. But eventually, I got taken serious and the relationship with the customers, got solid from there. So I realized that one needs to do things beyond what you're required to have in order for you to be taken serious as a woman, which was a bit of a sad thing because my male counterparts didn't have driving licenses for trucks, but they still managed to do the same amount of work and be taken serious.
I mean, you've managed to remain feminine, but has the environment tried to make you hardened?
The environment tends to do that because by virtue of the work, you are sort of steered into trying to be one of the boys.
Yes.
However, by staying true to yourself, which is what I always try and say to the other people, is be who you are. Maintain your femininity. I always try and say, keep the nails and the heels going. Should be judged on the merit of your work and not on your gender.
Sure. But you're very passionate about it. You give talks, you give back in a major way. How important is it and what can we do to stimulate to get more engineers?
I find that a lot of young women do not have, I would say, realistic role models. What I found is, a classic example, the people I studied with, there are very few of them that are now still engineers. Why? Because the working place has sort of pushed them into the softer roles. And then that's what I say, I'm like, it's unfortunate that you find that corporates and workplace environments tend to use gender against women for who they are. And what I find is that because women, I always say women are natural engineers, so to say, because they take...
I like that.
they take your resources at home by means of engineering process. They cook and then they give you an end product. So why don't you use something that women have in the workplace, whereby that way you
just
can
translate it. Nice.
Yeah, you know, and that way you can find that you could have natural project leaders, and in that way, you know, we can sustain the economy even better. So
the Engineering Council of South Africa, let's say they bring you in and they say, look, we need you to spearhead. We need 1,000 extra female engineers to be in a position so they can occupy this type of leadership role in this type of company. What would be some advice? Give them some strategic advice for free.
Okay, for free?
Yes.
Okay, I think the one thing that I would say to Engineering Council of South Africa, they need to allow young women to remain being women, you know. You do not want to conform them to trying to be males within this industry. So by allowing women to be women, by allowing people to be true to themselves, because people come from different walks of life. So if you come from an environment where your mother's a teacher, you know, and you want to be doing pure tutoring, you should allow that to come through. When you come from a finance environment and you find that there's ways of presenting that you can do, bring that in to try and assist. So not say, this is the structure, this is the engineering line, toe it. So that's what I would want to say to them. I think from a leadership point, one thing I always say is what lift as you climb, in the sense that the people that I work in my team, I have trained them such that if I'm not in the office, should God forbid I drop dead, there should be somebody to execute the work I do.
Sure.
Because the only way I can be moved on up if there is somebody to take over from me. Okay. So by sharing information, not hogging information to try and say, I want to be irreplaceable, which is what we find that a lot of people tend to do. They don't want to share because they want to be the it and all.
Yeah.
Yes. So training is very important, and I think you just start with your immediate, you know, teach some basic things like how to do reports, how to interpret stats as they come in, how to be your stand-in, all those things. It actually takes a lot of work off you.
If there's a young woman watching who dreams of being a powerful executive who can make lots of money like you, what are some of 2 or 3 things that you can share with her that she needs to be doing right now? Let's say she's at university, and her dream is to get from varsity to where you are.
Okay.
What are some of the critical things she needs to be doing right now?
Fortunately, just recently, Nissan advertised a graduate recruitment program where they wanted people within the field of engineering, marketing, and it gives them an opportunity to come into the company and learn from it. So Nissan is going out there to interact with the students within the institutions. And I think, fortunately, additionally, I also get invited to come and give talks at the likes of the Africa Engineering Week, where I can speak on behalf of Nissan to say, look, this is what the company has in place. And then people can actually see that you don't really have to be that old to get into the automotive industry, and that there are ways, and so we're fostering relations with institutions in that way.
Oh, wow. Well, we really appreciate you allowing us inside of your C-suite. Thank you for allowing us to kick down your doors.
Thank you so much.
Keep doing all the wonderful work. We'll be looking out for your talks on engineering.
Yes, it usually happens in September, October, so that's when they have Africa Engineering Weeks. They're moving around the University of Technology. So it started off at University of Johannesburg. Last year we were at Mangosuthu University of Technology with the Department of Science and Technology, and waiting to see where we go this year.
Bennitta Senyatsi is a powerful example that it can happen as a leader at her level. You know about engineering. She is a wonderful example of what it can be like if you want to get to this level.